We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Football season is here. It's arrived. We've had a bit of a hiatus, but it's a new season. Got to get ramped back into this thing. Quick little makeover. Hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to be talking about Coach Prime prepping for this game, where this team is at, and then we're going to be having a video tomorrow breaking down Georgia Tech versus Colorado. Right now, the Yellow Jackets are by 4.5. I'm going to tell you why I always like it. I loved it last year. We're going to love it this year. Let's roll it. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Good to see you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. Feels good to be back in the saddle, rocking and rolling for this season. Well, we knocked the presser off with what we all expected, what I expected anyways, which is Kaidon Salter gets named the starter for the quarterbacks, for the Buffs, as he should. I don't think this should catch anybody by surprise. We've heard about the great competition. We know that Julian was brought to Media Day for Big 12 Media Day, which led you to believe that he is going to have an impact on this football team. You don't bring somebody to Media Day if you don't feel they're a leader, if you don't feel they're going to make a significant impact throughout the season. And he talked about this in his presser, that he wants to see Julian play some snaps. Will they incorporate him? We've seen this utilized a lot over these last couple of years. We saw it this past Saturday with Dan Mullen. He utilized both of his new quarterbacks. Now, I think he's trying to figure out who fits his system a little bit better, but I really think they're going to try to implement Julian as much as possible. But let's go with the experienced hand. Let's go with the guy that's been in the league for multiple years now. I love this one. I'm going to pull some receipts here a little bit because I got a lot of flack when I was like, look, Salter would be a fantastic move. Although I love Julian Lewis, if you want to maintain the success in what you had last year and be able to pick up where you left off, this is the move that you need to go. And if you can slowly transition where Julian just kind of picks things up, and by week 6, 7, you've got a legitimate quarterback battle, that's fine. But I really think Kaidon Salter is going to take this offense. I know he talked about running the ball, which we'll get into, which is going to help a lot of these quarterbacks. And the trenches have a complete makeover, which I love. This is what excites me about this Colorado Buffs team, which they haven't had in the past. I think they're going to be a real legitimate threat. Again, the Big 12, in my opinion, once again, like it was last year, is wide open for the taking. It's going to be a blast. It's my favorite conference to watch from top to bottom. I cannot wait for this game on Thursday against Georgia Tech. And again, it's going to be something we watch here with the Salter. I wouldn't even call it a battle. I think there's a very mutual respect there between the two. Coach Prime knows what he has in Julian, and especially knows what he has in Kaidon Salter. So, get behind Salter here in the Buffs. It's going to be a great one, kicking off a late night game for them as well. Now we dive into this running back room. He talks about the depth, the plethora of depth that we have in this running back room. And I looked, when you take a look at it, just from top to bottom, in my opinion, since Coach Prime has been here, this is going to be the deepest, I want to say most talented. I think Dylan Edwards, obviously going to Kansas State. He got injured last week. Hopefully everything's okay with him. Was extremely talented, extremely fun to watch. But I believe from top to bottom, just the quality and quantity, this running back room is going to pack an absolute punch. I think they're going to take a very professional approach to this, the running back by committee, if they can. That's going to be the most successful route. We've seen it a lot in college football. There's still a few schools that will run their cowbell, like Alabama loves to do that. Georgia is kind of to that 1 and 2, but Ohio State obviously had much success last year going between 1 and 2, but I think that we'll see the Buffs use, I'm talking 3 backs a handful of times until one maybe takes it and runs with it. That's kind of what we saw last year, but I think with Marshall coming in and coaching that running back room, that they're going to be utilizing the running back room a lot more than last year too. Running backs were able to kind of take off and be the one-man show because of how much they did throw the football, but I really think they want to get that ball rolling. I think we're going to see a different tempo, a different approach to this game than we've seen the last 2 years, which excites me because I think this is why the spread may be what it is, because they expect Colorado to come out and be a team they've been the last 2 years under Coach Prime. But I think the changes that he's made and what he's done to turn this offense, this whole roster over, the coaching staff over, I think we're going to see a much more well-oiled machine and a different approach to these games as well, especially in the running back room. And he talked with the wide receiver room. I mean, you pick one and you throw it to him. And again, when you start looking at these rooms, right, quarterback room, in my opinion, is the best that it's been too, just from a quantity standpoint and quality standpoint from top to bottom. I think they're in a much better place than they were with Shador last year, just because you've got an experienced guy plus a true freshman that has the talent to step in and sling that rock when need be, just needs a minute to get a grasp of the entire sport and maybe have it slow down for him a little bit. But I'm very excited for that room. And then again, the trenches, I think it's going to make leaps and bounds and strides from the last 2 years. It's gone the right direction over the last every year that Coach Prime has been here, and I think it takes another step even further than that. And then again, you put the rooms around that, all of a sudden this team is starting to look like it can be something special heading into this season. And he talks about, too, the depth. He's really excited about this depth, was not shy about how excited he is about this team. We know Coach Prime loves to hype it up, loves to give us the big sell. But that was something I was excited to hear. And then O-line. Says that this O-line is, look, they're locked in, they're focused, they're motivated, they have a big emphasis on culture. And we'll get into it here in just a minute because they asked him about, hey, your son's leaving. Where's your thought process on that? And you have a nice transition. With each year that passes, new leaders step up, a new culture is kind of formed from the last one, and you're able to move on from a culture that was essentially ran by his sons, right? And now, and Travis Hunter, of course, which was a great culture. But if you want to establish and move on and continue to grow, other guys have to step up. And Jordan Seaton is one for me that I believe has really taken that role of leadership and establishing that culture. And I love his mindset. I love the way that he carries himself. Again, I was critical of him earlier on, and that recruiting process was a little strange. But since then, and since being committed to Colorado, this young man has been phenomenal to watch. Super excited to see his jump from last year to this year. I think he's an exceptional tackle, and I think he makes a big name. Even though he was massive last year, I think he makes an even bigger name for himself this year. Now, let's talk about that. Let's get into his son's leaving, because that was a topic of conversation, and it's something that will be talked about, I think, for probably the first couple of weeks. But it's something that can be put to bed on Thursday night against Georgia Tech, right? With them leaving, the drop-off narrative. Because, again, you lose a bunch of talent to the NFL. This was the face of Coach Prime since he's been in the league, which was his sons and Travis Hunter. Now you move on from that era. There's a lot of people doubting. There's a lot of people expecting these things to drop off. But I said it when it was happening. There's a kind of like a sense of, opening up here for Coach Prime and the Buffs. I was like, look, I loved my sons. I loved being here. But it got to the point where it's like, they got to go out and be them. I got to get back to being me. And I got to prove to everybody else, and these guys got to prove to them, right, that we don't need them. That's not a negative. It's like, guys, we're still Colorado. This team still went and was one game from beating the Big 12 championship last year. The core is still there. You know what I mean? Like, don't just think that, don't sign us off because a couple of guys left. And that's the culture I believe they're trying to establish. And look, he goes, look, we didn't lose, we gained. We have a better team now. And I believe that when you take a look at the staff and you take a look at the roster, it speaks for itself. Again, you got to see it on the field as well. But they've done a lot of great things. Guys have transferred out because of the success they had. The development they've had at Colorado has been phenomenal for them. So they've been able to go on and have success elsewhere, whether they're going to Alabama or TCU or Virginia, I believe is that where Isaiah ended up? Maybe it's South Carolina. I don't remember. But these guys have come to Colorado and had some great success where they've been able to move on and even get drafted when maybe prior to that they weren't. So I'm excited for the narrative to be killed, and I think it can be killed immediately. This Georgia Tech team is going to be fun. Like I said, we're going to do a full preview of this game coming out tomorrow. This game's going to be an absolute blast. It's going to be a tough one. I love this game because the way that Georgia Tech plays is different than your typical Big 12. They got a quarterback that is just an absolute dog. He's got a ton of heart. Those guys are never out of any football game. They are going to try to be as gritty as possible, a great defensive team. They're going to get a good look early on in Colorado, and a different look than I think they'll experience with other teams in the Big 12. And that's important, especially going through the Big 12 that has just so many different ways to win, right? I mean, you got Iowa State that is just a gritty football team, and you got Kansas State that can kind of pop off. Texas Tech, they've got an explosive offense. Did they adjust their defense? So this conference brings, they're a melting pot, if you will, of different style of teams. And Georgia Tech is just one more to that melting pot of how they can test this Colorado team very early on. I think defensively, they're going to challenge them. Offensively, they're going to challenge them in a good, healthy way. And it's going to be a great time to see how this Colorado steps up to the battle. I feel like this is probably outside of that TCU game. I think people expected it to be harder, which was Colorado's first game on the map because they just came out. TCU was just coming off that national championship bender, mind you. This Georgia Tech team, in my opinion, will be the best team that Colorado faces week one since Coach Prime has been here. Without a shadow of a doubt, that TCU team, I know there was expectations for that TCU team. I don't think I didn't believe they were going to be as good as they were previously. This Georgia Tech team, they've recruited very well. They figured some things out. They've got some great trench work they've got coming into these things. And Hanks King, one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the league right now, is going to give you fits. He is going to give you fits. So you've got to be perfect in every aspect of the game. And Coach Prime talked about that as well. Boys, we are back. I'm excited for the season to get started and to get rocking and rolling. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe. Let me know down in the comment section how you're feeling. If you've been mad that I've been gone, you can let me know that down in the comment sections below too. We'll see you on the next one. Peace and love, baby.